Okay, so twice in one day I got the question from a couple of clients about performance in front of an audience. So what do you do when you're brilliant one day at a coffee shop? You can be explaining a concept to a friend of yours or a couple of friends, but the second you get up in front of a room, get on stage, get in front of a meeting, it could be even 4 or 5 people in the room, you completely lose the thoughts in your head. You know, like when you stand up to speak, but your brain sits back down. I know we've all had that happen to us a couple of times. And why is that? And how do I get myself fired up so I can push through that? Well, when you're in front of an audience, 1 or 2 things can go wrong. Well, actually, a lot of things can go wrong, but commonly they're linked to 1 or 2 situations. One is when you're choking, and that's when you're thinking far too much. You're not in a state of flow. You're really too much in your head. Or number 2, you panic, and that's when you can't really seem to think at all. In either case, you've blown your presentation. And when these things happen, it's not so much a matter of being fired up, but calming down. You'll notice that if you're ever in the situation, sometimes if you can get through the first 5 to 10 minutes of your introduction, no matter how bad of a case of butterflies you seem to have, you can somehow get your butterflies to fly in formation. But a lot of people can't survive the first 5 to 10 minutes. So what do? Well, there's a few things. I'm reading this book right now by Jill Miller, The Role Model. Now, for those of you who don't know Jill Miller, she works intensely with Kelly Starrett, who has written the book Becoming a Supple Leopard. Now, what they have in common is they're both brilliant. If you haven't seen them, you should really check these guys out. They have a lot to offer, and they break it down in a way that anyone can take it and understand it. Okay, off my soapbox, but what Jill talks about in her chapter on breathing is that inhalation is arousal. No, not that type of arousal. And if you're thinking that, you're weird. I mean, look, everybody's into what they're into, but what really gets you going? Breathing, really? Anyway, and she talks about how exhalation is parasympathetic stimulation. So it's not arousal, it's relaxation. So a lot of times before you're gonna speak, getting yourself out of your head and present with your body is a matter of taking a few minutes to just inhale diaphragmatically from expanding your ribs, expanding your belly, about 6 seconds, pausing briefly, and exhaling for a duration that is greater than your inhalation. And a lot of times doing this when you can recline or fully lie down takes sympathetic stress off of your body, which is why she points out in her book, The Role Model, if you've ever been on a flight and you dozed off, you'll notice you wake up, you're not nearly as relaxed as when you're lying down for a full night's sleep, especially if you're in coach and the person next to you is sleeping on your shoulder and drooling all over you. So I hope this is useful because you could do this, well, maybe not lying down completely supine, that would be kind of weird in the office, but you can do a version of this sitting upright and taking a couple of minutes before your next training session, before your next sales call, and definitely before your next presentation up in front of a room. People try to get themselves motivated and inspired, and they get out there and there is too much sympathetic arousal, and they wind up not creating the performance that they're hoping for. They end up shutting themselves down. So try the other direction instead. Hope this was useful. So anyway, gotta go. Bye, Felicia.